The best builds, the best skill moves, how to defend, how to attack, how to not concede, what camera do I use? All of these questions are going to be answered in this video. Okay, so the video that I didn't really want to make because now you're all going to become better than us. Please don't beat us, please. I need the record. Let's get into this. As always, if you enjoy, please subscribe to the home of Pro Clubs and drop a like on the video if you enjoy. Right, so the first tip, and the first couple of tips are basic, but the first tip's gonna be builds, okay? You have to get the right build. In the eye in the top right hand corner, in the links to the description, we have links to builds, the best builds. At the end of this video, go check them out. You wanna be playing 5'4" in most of the attacking positions. You wanna be playing small in the midfield. We've been through this in depth in videos. If you haven't seen an in-depth build video, you're missing out on the exact traits and the exact height, weight that you need to be in order to have the best chance of winning games on FIFA 21 Pro Clubs. The meta is pretty much the same as last FIFA. Small, quick, agile is better than tall, strong, good in the air. Those things are kind of redundant. Point number 2, formations. You got to be playing the right formation to have the best chance to win. Obviously, 4-1-2-1-2 narrow or 5-2-1-2 are the two formations that we use. Now, at the moment, there's a glitch in FIFA which is putting you guys in 4-3-3 if you make a new club. I'm hoping that EA Sports fix that soon, but it's EA Sports, so who knows. Those formations work best for us, and you'll find out why later in the video. We like to attack narrow, and I'll explain in depth in the attacking segment of this video exactly how we do that. But this formation, or these formations, do help. Oh, also, let's have a quick look at our custom tactics with our Any Billy, whose link's in the description.
I use 5 width and 5 depth. That's just what I've always used, so I don't change it. And I think if you go too low here, you're just going to get pinned in, so I like to keep it 5 because you're kind of high up. And then the attacking doesn't really matter because we use all the positions, but I just take these off a bit because, like, on free kicks and corners, we hardly cross them, so I'd rather have more back than, like, gung-ho attacking more in the box.
Play with 4 people. Now, some teams are good enough to get away with 3, but we find that we need that CDM or cam, so we need 4. If you go into the filters, which I'm sure if you're watching this video, you know what they are, but if you don't, I mean, you need to. If you make sure that the match player filter is set to on, you'll be sure to only match against teams around the same number as you. Now, be aware you can match up to 6 people when there's 4 of you, so it can be a little bit more difficult, but you're never going to match an 8, a 9, a 10, or worst case, an 11. 4 people, we play obviously CDM, cam, striker, and then the Any goes in to the other striker slot. It's the best balance. We found the CDM to break it up, give us the ball and let us attack. And let's get into why we play with an Any before I can already hear the tears dripping on the phone screens that you are listening to this video on right now. Now, the Any filter is so important, the most important. And if you can get a good Any, it's the best chance you're going to get at staying unbeaten on Pro Clubs. I admire the optimism and the persistence of you Pro Clubs players that don't want to use an Any, but I've been playing this game mode since FIFA 12, and I'm telling you right now, you're not going to get a decent record without one, and the game is just a lot more enjoyable if you play with an Any. I guarantee it. We've got one of the best Ennies in the world. I really believe that. Billy is absolutely unbelievable, and, you know, let's go through some of the clips of how he plays. Bear in mind, if you do hate the Any filter, then play with it on, the filter on, and don't select yourself as Any. You're never going to match a team that has an Any. There's no need to complain about other people that use it. It really doesn't affect you. So the first big tip if you are playing in Any, because we're going to break this one down a little bit, is to use the co-op camera angle. It gives you a wider view of the pitch than the tele-broadcast than I use. You'll be able to see defenders and attackers making runs a little bit further out, and it's kind of what most players who play in defense or 11-man Pro Clubs will use. I stick on tele-broadcast because I'm a bit of a dinosaur, but also because I'm a striker, I don't feel like I need to see too much more of the pitch, and I use that mini-map at the bottom a lot. A couple quick tips from Any is to try and win the ball back as quick as possible. Yeah, I know that sounds obvious, but you'll notice in our games on stream, when we lose the ball, Billy is already selecting the fullback or the midfielder to pull up from almost off screen to mark the attacking runs and win the ball high up the pitch. You don't want to sit off on this game with the Ennies and let the attacking players run at you. You're going to be in trouble. We try to win the ball high and early as possible, and then when we do win that ball, we always look forwards. Always. Like, if you can play a forward pass, play it. There's really no need to switch the ball pointlessly or go back to the keeper or play it between the centre backs. They're dangerous positions, right? Having the ball in defence with the Ennies, especially when you're in the lower divisions, is just dangerous. Try to find your pros up the pitch, or any player up the pitch. Less chance of conceding, more chance of scoring. Basic science. I don't know. Make sure that you trust your ennies with the ball. Like, trust the players with the football that aren't your pros. Now, it can be hard to trust the CPU players, but especially as you get up the divisions. In Division 1, the CPUs can be as highly rated as 88 and maybe even 89 at the moment. That's a very high level, right? So you give them the ball, they're not going to be as terrible as the past FIFA titles maybe had led us to believe they might be. They can keep the ball, they can play it quick, they can move, they're fast, they're good. Like, so try to use them when you can. When you come up against a good team as well, if you're only looking to pass to your pros, sometimes it becomes very easy to defend against because, like, hey, I know he's going to pass to the big ginger guy up front with the afro constantly. I'll mark him, right? So mix it up by going to your CPUs a little bit more than you normally do. And my last tip from watching Billy and honestly just admiring that geezer's ability on the sticks is try not to pull the players out of position too much. Like, if you are defending with 3 5'1" rapid strikers sprinting at you, don't just take a centre back and fly him out of position and rush him up, because that creates a gap that striker can then run into. If you're going to pull players out of position, maybe look to pull fullbacks across, or maybe look to pull centre mids up to win the ball high. You don't want to be pulling like a centre back in a back 2 out and leaving a huge gap for a 1-2 in on goal. Right, let's move on to tip number 6 and a more attacking mindset: shooting, finishing, scoring chances. We always try to get our goals early, and I know that's again a little bit of a silly comment because if you could score early you would, but really focus on trying to get teams out of there as fast as you can. If you can take a 3-goal lead, the other team's morally just gone, so try to concentrate from the first whistle. And you'll see on stream with us, we try to blow teams out of the water by like 25 minutes, and if we're 3-4-0 up, most of the time those teams quit, and even if they're good teams, they've sort of not really got a chance at that point. 3 big finishing tips for you strikers who are struggling out there: do not finesse. I mean, make sure you got the right traits. Listen, you can finesse sometimes, of course. You see Bazinga do it on our videos all the time. He loves a finesse, but really you want to power shots front post or across the goal. They're the 2 ways to score goals on this FIFA, and to ball roll the keeper and go round him, but we'll get into skill moves in a second. And just look out for keeper movement. I am notoriously terrible for this. I'm so lazy when it comes to clubs that I don't really look at the keeper, I just shoot, and sometimes when a goalkeeper moves across the goal, when it's controlled by a very decent enemy, it takes me by surprise. So watch out for the keeper movement. Okay, so the best skill moves. What are the most effective skill moves in the game in order to play good? So there was 3 big skill moves this FIFA that have been really OP, and they've all had a patch: the flip flap, the step overs, and the bridge touch. Okay, they've all been patched. They're all pretty effective still. I mean, step overs maybe not, but the flip flap and the bridge touch, I would still recommend using these 2 skill moves. So the bridge touch, which is R1, L1 and the right stick. The flip flap, which if you don't know by now, you probably should. And actually, this FIFA, the ball roll followed by the scoop is really effective on pro clubs as well. Not so effective in the arena apparently, but yeah, that little bad boy really takes out a lot of players. Ball roll scoop, looks like it was a one and done trick in the arena for JCC today. So you got yourself the flip flap, the bridge, and the ball roll scoop. See how it sits the keeper down. All very easy skill moves to practice here and to learn, and they're all very effective, obviously. Give them a go and master them to become a better attacking player. Okay, now let's look at defending. Big tips for you guys. Don't slide tackle. Huge. I've literally never seen Billy use the slide tackle or Crudo when he plays in CDM. There's really no point. You can get the ball without sliding 99% of the time. Some of you will be rolling your eyes thinking you know better, and maybe you do, and maybe that works for you. But if you're this far through the video, we are currently like 160-0. Right now, we have 2 draws and I'm angry about it. But I'm telling you, I've never seen these boys slide. And when I ask Billy, he says the exact same thing. Like, there's just no need. You can normally get the ball if it's within sliding range. And even if you win it with a slide tackle, the chances are it's not going to become yours. You know, it's going to bounce off and it could go through to their striker who's standing right next to you. And now you've done exactly what we said by pulling a defender out and he's on the floor. There's gaps. It's just a messy thing. You don't need to do it. Try to reduce the amount of times you slide tackle. Point number 9 is look out for styles. Now, there's a meta on FIFA. It's a real simple one, and I know we're in a record club within 1 minute of the game if we're going to win it or not. Sometimes sooner, because if I see a 6'3" striker up front with a giant green afro, I kind of know what I'm playing against. If they play a huge L1 triangle from the start, I'm already feeling comfortable, and that kind of just comes from experience that you guys will get from playing more and maybe just watching players that are better than you play. FIFA and Clubs really hasn't changed much in years, and to be honest, it's such a simple and linear game. It isn't like a Warzone where you might have so many factors determining whether you win or not that are a lot of the time out of your control. If you follow this guide so far and you've got everything, the builds, the formation, the custom tactics, the right amount of players, the correct filters, a decent any, if you play a certain way, you will beat 99% of other teams you come up against. Watch out for how we play on stream to pick up tips, but for example, what I can tell you is I see a lot of players, and we joke about this on stream with our own messing around skill runs, run directly to corner flags in attack. They take the ball out wide too much. You can't score from these positions on the pitch, so we always try to stay central, and that's kind of why we look to play the 5-2-1-2 or the 4-1-2-1-2. They're very central formations. So many make mistake of pinging balls out wide for pretty much no reason, and although we do concede a fair amount of crosses, we're normally 3-0 up by the point that those crosses are even coming in, and they're always on the break. Isolating themselves and forcing themselves out wide is the biggest mistake I see people make on FIFA, like just running to the corner flag, getting sort of trapped in, having no real passing lanes and options to come out of there. We win the ball turnover and we break up the pitch with 5'4" strikers who have 99 sprint speed. So try to use your cam and your central midfielders as much as you can in the formations that I recommend to build attacks. You don't always have to go forwards, but look for that forwards pass as much as possible, and just see if you can pick up other little tips from watching better players and teams than you play that you might not have seen. Alright, now the last tip is a pretty simple blanket statement one: practice. I mean, leagues like the VFL and VPG will definitely help you guys improve on a higher pressure game, but really when you watch us dominating divisions, it's because I've been playing pro clubs since FIFA 12. I know how the game works inside out, but a lot of players are improving now, and I hope that I'm helping some of you guys listening to this in this video. If you feel like I might have done, please share this with your teammates, leave a like and consider subscribing for all the latest and best pro clubs content on this channel. I'll see you guys next time.